Amid a rapidly deteriorating situation in Yemen, Saudi Arabia has reportedly carried out an airstrike on a key port, according to a breaking update from the news agency Associated Press. Saudi officials described the strike's target as a shipment of weapons allegedly intended for a separatist force operating in the country's volatile southern region, sources told reporters. According to AP, the suspected arms shipment had arrived at the strategic port city of Mukalla, having been transported by sea from the Emirati territory of Fujairah, a route now under intense international scrutiny. This latest development marks a serious escalation in the already growing tensions between Saudi military forces and the UAE-backed Southern Transitional Council, a powerful separatist group vying for control in Yemen's south. Although both Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates are officially aligned in fighting the Iran-backed Houthi rebels, they continue to support rival factions within Yemen's complex civil conflict, exposing deep fractures within the coalition. A Saudi-led coalition spokesperson later confirmed that 2 ships originating from the United Arab Emirates had entered the port of Mukalla without authorization, an act which, Riyadh claims, left it with no choice but to intervene militarily. The Saudi press agency said, quote, "The ship's crew had the disabled tracking devices aboard the vessels, and unloaded a large amount of weapons and combat vehicles in support of the Southern Transitional Council's forces. Given the danger and escalation posed by these weapons, which threaten security and stability, the coalition air forces conducted a limited military operation this morning targeting weapons and combat vehicles unloaded from the 2 ships at the port of Al-Mukalla." The attack came just days after Saudi Arabia issued a stern warning to a powerful separatist group in Yemen, cautioning them against any unauthorized military maneuvers that could further destabilize the region. In an official statement released soon after the strike, the Saudi-led coalition emphasized that the Mukalla operation was carried out with precision, claiming that there were no civilian casualties or collateral damage reported. Meanwhile, on the ground, reports indicate that anti-Houthi forces across Yemen have now declared a state of emergency, signaling rising alarm and the possibility of wider conflict in an already war-weary nation. To maintain order and prevent the movement of insurgents or arms, local authorities have reportedly imposed a 72-hour ban on all border crossings within the affected territories, effectively sealing off key routes for security reasons. The worsening of Yemen's civil war is unfolding at the same time as a bold geopolitical move by Israel in the Horn of Africa, a strategic shift involving Somaliland that many see as a direct attempt to counter the Houthi threat. Israel recently made headlines by becoming the first country in the world to officially recognize the breakaway region of Somaliland, long claimed by Somalia, as an independent nation-state. Regional experts believe this recognition is not just diplomatic symbolism, but part of a calculated strategy by Israel to leverage Somaliland's close proximity to Yemen as a forward position against the Iran-backed Houthi movement.
Mr. President, A3+ strongly condemns the flagrant assault by Israel on the unity and the territorial integrity of Somalia by recognizing as an independent entity to the northwestern region of Somalia, so-called Somaliland, which is legally incapable of entering into any agreement or arrangement or recognition with another country. Any such purported arrangements are therefore null and void. Further, this action represents a direct violation of the UN Charter, the African Union's fundamental principles, and a breach of cornerstone of the international law. Respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the states. This act of aggression is aimed at encouraging fragmentation of the territory of Somalia, which is the northwestern region, is an integral part and is destabilizing the Horn of Africa, entire Horn of Africa, and the Red Sea region. It should be firmly rejected and condemned unequivocally by all member states. A3+ therefore rejects this announcement by Israel and calls for it to be rescinded. In this regard, A3+ aligns itself with the recent statements of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, in categorically rejecting all attempts at undermining the independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity of Somalia. A3+ reaffirms the long-standing and consistent position of the African Union, rooted firmly in the constitutive act of the Union and the principles of respecting borders inherited at independence, as proclaimed in 1964 decision of the Organization of African Unity, Cairo Declaration. We further call on all member states to take a unified and principled stand against this illegal action, which undermines the very foundation of the international legal order. A3+ seizes this opportunity to welcome all regional, international, bilateral, and multilateral partners who express their clear support and the commitment to the sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity of Somalia. Mr. President, taking note of the statements made by some officials regarding the forced involuntary relocation of Palestinians from their homeland to other countries, A3+ unequivocally reject any steps aimed at advancing this objective, including any attempt by Israel to relocate the Palestinian population from Gaza to northwestern region of Somalia. This action is not only unlawful, but is morally reprehensible. Recalling the provisional measures and advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice regarding the forcible displacement of Palestinian people from their land, we call on Israel to comply with its legal obligations on this matter.
In 1960, when Somaliland emerged as an independent state, Israel was among 35 countries that formally recognized its independence. In the late 1980s, under the regime of Siad Barre, Somaliland's civilian population was subjected to mass atrocities. Entire cities were destroyed, civilians were deliberately targeted. These crimes are now widely recognized as the Isaaq genocide. At the time, Israel was the only country to formally raise these atrocities in this very council. For more than 3 decades since, it has existed entirely outside the authority of Mogadishu. Since 1991, Somaliland has consistently met the objective criteria for statehood under customary international law, as reflected in the Montevideo Convention. 1, it has a permanent population. 2, a defined territory. 3, an effective government. 4, the capacity to conduct foreign relations. In fact, Somaliland has held regular competitive elections, ensured peaceful transfers of power, and maintained effective governance and security throughout its territory. In a region marked by instability, Somaliland has demonstrated continuity, responsibility, and restraint. Moreover, Somaliland's engagement with the international community is already sustained and practical. Somaliland's historical sovereignty, more than 3 decades of effective self-governance, and demonstrated capacity to act as a responsible international partner meet the legal criteria that guide recognition. Israel has aligned its foreign policy with this reality. This approach reflects the spirit of the Abraham Accords. It is grounded in international law and directed towards greater stability and security in the region.
In a swift and furious response, the Houthi leader publicly threatened military action, warning that any attempt by Israel to establish a military or security presence in Somaliland would be met with force.